on homes there and people there still having power. Why don't we check in now with our NBC10 Doug Schimel, who has been on the roadways checking out conditions up in the Lehigh Valley. Right now, you've made some progress here. Right now, Doug's in Salisbury Township. Doug, how are things in Salisbury?
Well, we've actually just moved out of Salisbury Township into the borough of Fountain Hill, which is just sort of on the south side of Bethlehem. And as you can tell by some of the snow on the street here, as we mentioned earlier, this was more of a snow event up here because they were getting almost pure snow from about, midnight until at least 3 or 4 in the morning. And of course, as we've been mentioning, this is something that perhaps a lot of the residents up here were hoping they wouldn't have to do, and that is shovel out again. This is probably the second, third, fourth shovel in the last 36 to 48 hours. We are right now getting onto Frederick Street, which is one of the more notorious hill streets here in Fountain Hill, and of course much of Bethlehem centered on the backside and front side of a mountain, so you've got residents who've become fairly accustomed to navigating these roadways, but when you keep getting these new applications of snow, it does not make it any easier. And we are getting freezing rain. We've been in freezing rain now for about the last hour and a half, 2 hours. That, fortunately for PPL, which is the primary utility up here, has not been as big a factor in terms of bringing power lines down, in terms of bringing branches down, as it has been in Chester County, Montgomery County, Bucks, and even parts of central and southern Berks County. They have said that they're looking at roughly 466 people without power in Lehigh County. Actually less than 100 people in Northampton County, but as I mentioned, Berks County, the hardest hit area with over 3,300 people, mostly clustered around on the west and south sides of Reading. We're now going from Benner Avenue onto Itasca Avenue, just past the service center, one of the gas stations here in Fountain Hill. And as you can tell, road conditions a little bit better here, but it doesn't take much for them to deteriorate pretty quickly. Our temperature hovering right at the freezing mark, 32 degrees, and we've been sort of dipping below that periodically depending upon where we were. We were up on South Mountain in Salisbury Township just a short time ago. Roads almost completely snow covered here. Now we have just turned on to this is Cluel Street here, and as you can tell, it does not look as if the Public Works folks have been able to get through here yet. Some of it has been scraped away, at least as you go from Cherokee on Cluel. But here again, you've got the hills to contend with up here. But this has just sort of been a kind of a death of 1,000 cuts for a lot of the residents up here, because it just seems as if every one of these events is a snow event. So on one hand, they have their power. On the other hand, they're faced with all of this. Live in Fountain Hill in Lehigh County, I'm Doug Schimel, NBC10 News. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Doug. But again,